Hi everyone, good afternoon and welcome to the Liyab Learning Challenge Day 9. I know we've been 9 days into this learning challenge and I'm so happy to see all of you participating in the homework you've been submitting. We've been issuing some certificates already and I love that for some discussions already in the group there's been some sort of like networking going on, connecting with others, sharing ideas, which I really, really appreciate. Um, that's sort of how we want the group to be. That's why we called it a career support group because your career support group will be your network. So it always take this opportunity to get to know the other people in the group, get to exchange ideas, and I really appreciate how that's been happening because of the Liyab Learning Challenge. Again, I am Deirdre. I'm the founder of Liyab, and for those who are new here, Liyab is an e-learning startup focused on helping Gen Z Filipinos transition into working life. And again, part of transitioning into working life is getting enough skills to make you really marketable when it comes to looking for a job or becoming more employable, or for you to gain skills and knowledge that you may possibly give you one edge when it's time for you to start looking for a job. So we've curated the topics for this learning challenge to do exactly that. So we've done some soft skills for the first couple of days, and now I want to give something really practical, that it's so easy to think of how this can possibly be applied in certain industries. um, we've invited a data scientist actually to discuss something like that, and we wanted to change things up a bit by even introducing a sort of hackathon for your homework. So there will be a prize, and our teacher will be telling us more about that later. But for those who really want to participate in today's discussion, please already tune in, and if you know any friends who are interested in the topic, please tell them that we're live already, so that they can be able to watch the entire session live. And especially, what's great about having these live sessions is you have the chance to comment your questions in the Facebook Live view. So I can ask them to our teacher, and then our teacher would be able to shed some more light about your question. All right. Before we begin, again, I would like to take this time to remind you that our virtual career fair is happening Monday. It's starting on Monday. And if you haven't registered yet, please do. We have a series of talks. We have a directory of mentors who's taking time out of their day to help some of you figure out like some pressing career questions that you may have, or if you're looking for some career advice. We have a great directory of mentors who volunteer their time. We also have a couple of talks prepared for you in case you've been wondering about, like, for example, we just announced this morning that we have a talk from someone from working with the government, and then someone who is going to talk about internships. And we have a couple of more talks lined up for you, so just stay tuned for that. But there, please do register. The deadline is tomorrow at 9 p.m. if you're registering as a job seeker. That's to ensure that we give enough time to warn our mentors about their schedule for that day. Okay. So personally, I'm very excited to take a crack at this geo visualization. I personally haven't done this, so that's why I'm really excited to learn from our teacher today. So yeah, I'll be going for now, and the floor will go to Xavier Puspus, who is again a data scientist. He's worked with several companies in the past, and he will discuss that more later. But I'll be back after his session, after he discusses the hackathon. So I'll see you later. Xavier, take it away.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. Hi. So, good afternoon, everyone. I hope my screen is being shared right now. But yeah, welcome to day 9 of Liyab Learning Challenge. Uh, the background of this slide actually is what we'll be building today. So by the end of the hour, or actually just takes like 2 minutes maybe, we should be able to build the visualization that I have here. So yeah, it really requires no code. It's live, it's interactive, and it's even online. And it's shareable and it's public. It's open, so and it's free, so it's pretty cool. So yeah, like Diri mentioned, thank you for that. My name is Xavier. I am the head of AI of a company called Zero Six Data Science. So yeah, we make AI for humans. We were founded like 2019, and really we're a very small and a very early startup. But yeah, we do a lot of stuff in AI and data science as well. So like Deirdre mentioned, we want to switch things up. We want to change how homeworks are going to be submitted today. It's going to be through a mini hackathon. So I'm actually going to be giving out 1,000 pesos to the best GeoViz plus insights to be submitted a week, or well, May 16th of midnight of 2020. Essentially, it's going to be a Kepler visualization link. You will understand what that means later. I'll also be reiterating the hackathon later. Submit it to me and Deirdre. We will announce the winners by May 20. So essentially, pagandahan ng visualization, or just, may the best GeoViz win. The criteria is as follows. So the visualization aesthetics, it's 20%. So essentially how pretty your charts are. The insights, or the actual things you learned from visualizing your data. And then 50%, or the bulk, is social impact. Uh, I want the project to be something that the public can actually benefit from or learn something from. The strict requirement here is you must be an undergrad and jobless. So integrity, guys, because we're gonna give out monies for this. If I want, if I like 5 people, they all each get 1,000 pesos. I don't mind. But if you want to form a team of maximum 3, individuals are also welcome to submit. But another 2 requirements is you must like the Liyab Learns FB page, and of course you have to be part of the FB career group of Liyab. So yeah, I'm gonna again repeat that hackathon guidelines later, but a bit more about me. So I've worked with some of these companies. I worked with a power company, a data science consulting company, Gcash or Mint, Tribe, and just recently for the Women Foundation. I hope some of you guys are watching me. But yeah, essentially it's a foundation that teaches underprivileged women for free, which is pretty cool. So I've aside from that, I've also taught data science or advanced analytics, as it was called before, to some of these companies. You probably already know some of them. So the Golden Arches, ABS-CBN, Bigger McKenzie, CDM, San Miguel, Union Bank, Macan, etc. So these are some of the things that I use for my work in order for me to do my job. I use Python mainly, and then Spark, SQL, and then R. So yeah, for the people who are for Python versus R, there is no Python versus R here. It is Python and R. Cool. I'm also a graduate from the UP Diliman Applied Physics program. So here I am with my sister, who actually talked yesterday about project management, and my mother. So again, what we're actually gonna be building today or this afternoon is this visualization specifically. So just a quick run through. This is actually the COVID case routes, or essentially where the people who have COVID cases reside and where they went to have themselves tested. So as you can see, the lines are essentially where they were from and where they had themselves tested. And then it's animated through time. So it's really like once you've got yourself tested, then you appear in that timeline. So it's very interactive. It's actually online. Of course, you could just record your screen and convert this to a GIF, like what I did. But yeah, this is pretty cool and insightful, and I feel like any visualization should be emotionally sort of intriguing, something that you wanna peer into, something that isn't that boring, and something that's super easy and accessible to everyone. But before we drill down into all of those, I bucketed the topics to 4 things. So that's geodata types and sources, pre-processing, which is mainly data cleaning, or what else are there to care for in order to perform visualization. And then the actual visualization, which will be through Kepler.gl. I'll be explaining what that is later. And then how you interpret the visualization. So to start things off, geo visualization is actually short for geographic visualization. So it's really for leveraging data resources. And the keywords here are scientific and societal needs and nothing else. Um, you would probably be able to think about any other applications, but really we want sort of the scope of this study to be within these bounds. This is a visual method to visualize geospatial data, which again, I'll be discussing in a bit. So the two, or well, actually the one set of data types that we'll be tackling today, in the interest of time, is the what you call the longitude and latitude. Everyone probably knows what these are. It's a pair of numbers that dictate location around the world. It depends really on the projection that's being used, but let's not dwell on that. Latitude is east to west, and longitude is north and south. So for those who are really interested in actually performing the homework, I took the liberty in giving out examples of where you can find data to visualize. People might think that it's not very open, or like not a lot of data are out there that you can actually visualize on a globe or on a map. So the first three here I showed is Esri Open Data Hub, Natural Earth Data, and of course the United States Geological Survey, Earth Explorer. They're all free. They have advantages and disadvantages. I've linked them here, and we will be sending these slides, the set of slides later on in the Facebook page. So it's all linked there, or you can also Google it. The most popular ones actually are, of course, OpenStreetMap, and which is open source. Literally everyone can input like what sort of place you are. You can put your address there with a long lat or a shapefile. And then NASA's Socioeconomic Data and Application Center. So again, if you want to win 1,000 pesos, just take your data from these five or any open source data that has social impact. So aside from the longitude and latitude, there are actually a lot of like complicated data types out there. You have street data, of course, where you drive through or where you bike around. The buildings data, where you reside, vegetation, and the integration of all these data points. What's going to be fun about this is Kepler GL, or the method that we'll be teaching you today, actually takes care of all of these processes for you in like one click. So the no coding, again, no coding background required, just common sense or internet, laptop. A few other stuff that are probably options also for visualizing geospatial data. I've mapped out here, or I've outlined here. So that's Mapbox, ArcGIS, Google Maps API, which is now expensive, Carto here, and D3, which is free, but it's pretty heavy on your laptop. One again that is pretty popular is OpenStreetMap, because everyone can access and everyone can input their addresses there and can actually contribute to the project. But for this specific demonstration, we'll actually be replicating that COVID trace route that I showed a while back. So just that link below that shows download COVID-19 DOH data drop, that will be the data source for this demo. I think, though, that DOH took the liberty of removing the residential latitude and longitude. I think it's for data privacy issues, but it's no longer available. But we do have the latitude and longitude of the clinics that the COVID patients actually had themselves tested and confirmed. So this is what you'll need. Literally, the only things you'll need is location, latitude, and longitude. In this set of slides, I've put the link for the full DOH data dump. It's pretty heavy. It's linked here, and it's also probably linked in the Facebook page already right about now. And then I also just scraped like DOH data dump just for May 3, which was last week, just to make it a bit lighter, because the first link is pretty heavy on RAM. So like I mentioned, we will be using a pretty cool and a pretty easy tool, which is called Kepler.gl, as in for those who want to follow through with the data and with developing the geo-visualization, we'll be using Kepler GL for this. So if you guys want to open it in a different browser, now's the good time for that. So you'll see this screen when you open it. It's a pretty lightweight website. And then you click Get Started. And then that's it. And I'll show you later how that looks like. So literally, that's like the only click you'll need in order to perform the visualization. So one of the things that I used this for was actually to map out the earthquakes in the Philippines. So this is a map of the Philippines with earthquakes since I think this was like 1980 to 2020. As you can see here, some of the insights are pretty straightforward. It's pretty obvious that Mindanao is fairly heavily hit. I was very curious about it because last 2019 December we were actually hit, or Mindanao, my hometown, was actually hit by 4 magnitude 7 or 6 or above 6 earthquakes. Just to put it in perspective, a magnitude 6 or 7 that will hit Metro Manila will break most of the buildings here. So again, this is interactive. So as you can see, the map actually goes through time and maps out like all those red dots there with the higher magnitudes. So the green or the blue green here is really more weaker earthquakes, and then the red dots that appear are the stronger ones. So most of them hit the northern Mindanao and close to Manila. It's probably why we keep shaking here and just Mindanao, and everywhere else is just like safe. So one of the cooler things here also is if you want to look for a place to live after coronavirus crisis, you might want to check out Palawan. They never get it since 1980s. So if you want to take a chance, live there. Another thing that I used this for was I was honored to have won a hackathon by Data Ethics. It's a group also built last 2019. I mapped out all the earthquakes and the fault lines, the population, the road networks that are susceptible to tsunamis caused by earthquakes. So this is a map of Mindanao again with all those trench lines, the Sulusi, the road networks, etc. And again, this is animated. Um, but as you can see here, there's really no escape when you're in Mindanao, and if you wanna get out of the earthquake prone zone, you really kind of have to fly to Puerto Princesa or to Palawan. So yeah, once you've clicked that get started link that I showed when you go to Kepler.gl, you see this interface, which is add data to map. The only thing you care for here actually for this session is browse your files, and then that's it. And then it now plots everything for you. Like you literally don't have to do anything else. Once you've uploaded the data there, it does all the heavy lifting for you. It identifies which ones are latitude and longitude, even if they're not named properly, which is pretty cool. So at this point, I'll be demonstrating how that's actually built. So I hope my screen is still sharing, but very quickly, this is the DOH data dump. Like I mentioned, it's pretty heavy. It was heavy before, and then some of the guys actually fixed it, so it's a bit lighter now. But I took the liberty of resharing everything into a single spreadsheet, and then you can just download it as a CSV, and then that's it. You then go to Kepler.gl. Again, that's Kepler.gl, and then you click Get Started. So just a brief background of Kepler.gl. It's actually data agnostic, which means you can input not just longitude and latitude. You can input any variable names, and it will still identify them properly. It can also identify shapefiles, GeoJSONs, all those other good stuff that's of interest for geospatial visualization. It's high performance. It's also completely web-based, so you don't need to download anything, and it's online, and it's free. So it's built on top of Mapbox, which is also something that's open source. And I think Uber built this tool. So yeah, let's get started. Kepler is a powerful open source geospatial analysis tool for the keyword there is large scale data sets. So it can take in like a million pairs of longitude and latitude, and it wouldn't even care for it. So I hope my internet allows me to get started. But yeah, here you go. So I hope you can see this, but I'm now seeing the interface with add data to data map, add data to map. And then I drag and drop your files here or just browse your files. So I have here very conveniently downloaded that sheet that I showed a while ago. And then I visualize first the COVID-19 as of May 3, 2020. And then I click open and it does the magic for me. And that's it. So tapos na yung session. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it already mapped out everything for me. I didn't even have to do any coding. I didn't have to figure out which one was latitude and longitude. But as you can see, it's still pretty boring. So let's spice things up. So let's start first with the leftmost deck or set of widgets. So as you can see here, the data set is actually loaded here below layers. Hope you can see what I'm encircling here. You can see the data. So it actually loads it for us and even loads the schema. So it's pretty smart. It knows which ones to load to date or time, string, integer, if your index is an integer, another string, Boolean, etc. And then just to scroll to the right, you can actually see here the latitude and longitude already automatically labeled for their mapping sort of needs. And then with that, I proceed now to this word called point. I just label it last like COVID cases in the Philippines. So this now comes out as a legend. To when you go to your right, it can actually show legend like any other visualization. I hope you learned this from Deirdre in her session. All of your charts need to have legends to label everything. So yeah, like I mentioned, it's still pretty boring. So this is again all of the COVID cases all over the country, and you can even interact with them. So you can hover over them if my internet allows me to hover over them. Okay, that's pretty small. So let's just make that a bit bigger. So you can make that bigger by raising the radius. So I just click the point that I mentioned a while back, and then you raise that radius a bit. There you go. And now I can hover, and then I can see the metadata that goes with the data point. So apparently this person by the SM Mall of Asia is case code, age 53, and is a male or something. You can even add what sort of metadata you need there. Oh, and it's pretty cool. You can just use this, and okay, that's a pretty good visualization. But hey, I want to output like a heat map. So I click on that point, and then it gives me options like arc, line, grid, hex bin, polygon, cluster, icon, heat map, whatever. So I'm pretty interested in just creating a heat map because it's pretty cool. There's really no other reason why I'm using this. It's cool because uh, this is a virus, and I wanted to see. I wanted it to show like it's spreading through the country, so I did it this way. I didn't want the color to be yellow or red, so let's turn it into like blue, green to red. Maybe reduce the radius because it's a bit overreactive. And then I set the weight to density, which means if there are a lot of COVID cases close to each other, it just melts into one sort of heat map. And so yeah, that's one things you can do to make this more appealing or more, emotionally intriguing, something that you really want to sort of show to the government and say, hey, please do your job because it's not going well. Okay, so that's pretty cool. And then what if I just want to animate it? I wanna do some sort of time series geovisualization. So how would I do that? So if you can see here, this layers widget to its right is what you call filters. So I click on that. I add a filter. And then it should allow me to select a filter for date of confirmation. So that then gives me like a widget for time below. So your top or your bottom right. And then you can just, adjust this widget to show you like, hey, this is how much COVID cases there are in the past like 30 days. You can even move it to like March 17, which is day zero of the lockdown there. And you can even see that, hey, even before the lockdown, there's already been cases all over the country. So one insight there is the lockdown was too late, or it just wasn't implemented too quickly, or the data is wrong, or that's why another point here is have the data validated. But since this is from DOH, I would go to them and ask them. So yeah, that's well and good. What does manual tweaking really show us? What you can do then is just hit play, and then it animates for you. So it actually shows you all of these cases through time, and you can see them growing and dying. It's not at all flattening, guys. So for those who are listening, who are thinking it's flattening, it is not. It is nowhere near that. So let me just repeat that. So yeah, okay. Now that's animated. I feel like the map is pretty dark. Uh, Not a lot of things going on here. It's just really the COVID cases and maybe the addresses. So what I do is I'd go to the fourth widget in the leftmost set of widgets, which is called base map, and I change the base map, which is just from dark to maybe okay. I'll do a lighter version if the map allows me. It's still not pretty for me, so maybe I just go for satellite mapping because it looks very Google Earthy for me. And maybe for those who are curious, you guys can look for your homes wherever you live and just look for the COVID cases that are confirmed there, and be scared for your life, or prepare for the worst. But yeah, those are some of the things they can actually do in order to improve this map. And again, it's what do you call that? It's animated, and it's really easy to edit a few other stuff. Again, like you can change colors, you can even add a layer, but which I'll be showing in a bit. But yeah, those are just some of the things that are pretty powerful about it. Now, as part of the hackathon, I want a copy of the Kepler visualization that you'll be building. Or if you're already, averse to, or you already know you're well versed in web application development, and you want to embed this, how would you do that? So I would go to this fourth widget in the topmost of the leftmost widget, which is showing me share map URL. So it takes the liberty of storing your map in Dropbox or Carto if you have a Carto account, and then you just click upload, and it essentially converts all of the things you've done here into like a set of GeoJSONs and a set of visualizations and images. And if my internet allows me, I hope everything gets uploaded. And then actually the end result here is it gives me a link that is referenced or referencing Dropbox that you can share to everyone. So this one essentially you can just copy, and then you can copy it to a different link, and then you can just send it to me, and then it's now like published. Hold on, where is it? And then it's now published online for everyone to see. Or you can even share it to your friends. You can show it to your local government and say, hey, we're living in like a COVID cesspool, man, let's do something about it. So yeah, that's pretty cool. But we haven't really sort of repeated what I showed a while back, which was showing the case routes or where the people went who had COVID. So let me just pause this very quickly and maybe do another demonstration. So I go to Kepler.gl, And then again, I click get started. That's really all you need. And then you browse your files. And so long before, maybe around April, we actually had a data called location long lat lookup, which is essentially just a bigger data set or a wider data set, excuse me, not bigger, which has a bit more data of about the COVID patients. So you have here date of lab confirmation, date of announcement, date of admission. I don't know what date this is. Admission or consultation place, like San Lazaro Hospital, ACE Medical Center, UERM, symptoms, other diseases, age, and then location, etc. And then here, the most interesting sort of data points are latitude and longitude of where the cases were confirmed, and then the residential longitude and latitude. So those are the things we care for. So again, I just renamed that point into, okay, maybe COVID heat map of case count. I hope you guys are more creative than me in renaming legends, but again, I like heat maps because they're pretty cool and they're very colorful. So let's say I stick with the color scheme that I wanted a while back. I increase the radius just because it's melodramatic. And then you can add a layer. Okay, so what do I want to do? I want to trace the case route. Oh, sorry. COVID case routes of COVID patients. And then I now use a visualization type called arc, which takes in four columns of data. That's source latitude, source longitude, target latitude, and target longitude. So where they were and where they went. So let's say here the source latitude will be residential latitude. The source longitude is a residential longitude. We're assuming here that they were ill in their homes, they were already on lockdown, and then they wanted to have themselves tested. This is how it would be visualized. And then the target latitude will be, again, the confirmed latitude, and then target longitude is the confirmed longitude. And then voila. You now have a map of where they went. And as you can see, just with this visualization, without adjusting for anything, Metro Manila is ground zero for the whole Philippines. This is kind of the reason why Metro Manila was the focus of the lockdown. It's because every case that actually popped out everywhere else came from here. So we want to change, for example, just some of the color schemes. You guys are better at this than me. But yeah, this is still kind of spaghetti-like at this point of view. But what if I just convert this to 3D? So you can actually convert that to 3D by that rightmost widget there. There's an option there. And it shows me that, hey, this link here, like if it wants me to, I'm just gonna like hover over it, but yeah, I should be able to like show me sort of what are the attributes of that case route. So okay, it's age 70. It was actually case number 662, Filipino. So local transmission. We already know that. And like what I demonstrated a while back, I want to change this into something that's a bit more realistic or Google Earthy. So I convert that to satellite. So I'm just gonna zoom back. And then lastly, I want to animate it. So I select the filters, I select the field, maybe date of admission, which is probably like the earliest. No, I don't want that. Maybe the date of lab confirmation. Okay, that's better. Then we adjust the minimum time and the maximum time, and then we hit play. And that's it. And then we see here an animated sort of routes of where they went from Metro Manila to everywhere else. So from here, you can actually, double down on your point, which is, everything came from Metro Manila at some point. If I'm just gonna pause it here and just, again, go back to a time of day zero for lockdown, which is March 17. you can already see where those COVID patients went to have themselves tested. So most of them are from Metro Manila, but you actually have cases in Cebu and in Mindanao. So, you know, we're nationwide, guys. Congratulations. But yeah, if you wanna hit play after that, even after the lockdown, you can still see that the most of the COVID cases came from Metro Manila and had themselves tested everywhere else. So that's pretty powerful to me. I mean, that visualization shows me that I don't want to say it, but the lockdown isn't enough, maybe, or there are maybe more measures that we should be looking at in terms of doubling down on security. But hey, we were locked down on March 17, and that's where the COVID cases, spiked. So what's up, right? It's actually pretty interesting to see that even with the shutdown, airport terminals and even seaports, how the heck did these people actually were able to get to where they went and have themselves tested and spread their way through that, right? And I feel like this is probably the reason why we haven't flattened the curve. I'm a firm believer of looking at spade as a spade, and that curve is far from flat. So yeah, that's some of the things that would probably be useful to you for your submission for the hackathon and for the certification that Liyab will be giving you. Again, in order for you to submit this, just click on that upload button there, share map URL, upload to Dropbox, and then it gives you like a link that's already saved to your Dropbox. It's a bit slow to me, but for those who have fiber, this is going to be a bit faster for you, but I'm not going to do that now. So yeah, let's go back to just some of the things to look out for when you're doing your geo visualization. So a few reminders. First of all, above all else, even before you start clicking on Kepler GL, please clean your data. There are a lot of things in the DOH data dump, excuse me, they're actually empty. We also saw a bit of veracity issues, which means data integrity issues there. But I hope DOH has already fixed them. But the only solution there is to actually look at the data. There is no way. There is no automated way. There's no AI, machine learning model, whatever that cleans your data for you. That doesn't exist. You have to look at it. That is the reason why, even with the advancement of technology and Python and Spark and all that, Google Sheets and Excel is key, right? Because you want to take a look and see which ones are actually useful, which ones are useless. Second one is validate your insights with the keywords here, actual experts. Not because you were employed by someone and you call yourself a data scientist that you are an expert on anything. You are not. Please validate with someone who actually has done this like for years, has peer reviewed their work for all their life, have your visualization, have your insights, studied by someone who's probably like given themselves to this research, like actual epidemiologists for COVID cases, actual seismologists or actual geological scientists for our earthquake mapping, etc., or hazard mapping. So yeah, number two, always validate your insights. Obviously, we'll be seeing your submissions, and we'll try to see if your insights are valid from our end, but please do so even from your end. And lastly, there are four things I really want to discuss before you guys do any visualization, not just geo mapping, not just line charts or bar charts, not just data science, anything you do. The first thing is be honest with your insights. Please don't call a spade a gold. Call a spade a spade. Call it as it is. If it's a epidemiological model that uses R naught for infection rates, don't use death rates for it. Call it as it is. Call it as something that you've really studied for, and not just because you have a lot of data for it doesn't mean you're God. The second one is ethics. Please be ethical about it. There's a reason why a bunch of these data points were actually probably removed by DOH or not easily accessible is because there it's too much data for you to identify a person about it, and so be careful with that. We have laws about it. Luckily, the data sets I've shared now are all public, so feel free to use them. But I would really love submissions to be outside the coronavirus crisis, because there are a lot of people already doing that, and we don't want to add insult to injury. Third one is respect. Please respect each other's work. Let's validate each one with a grain of salt. Let's not call each one's work useless or no conclusion for anything. Even if you're a respected data scientist of some institution, please respect each one's work, especially for those who are starting out with their works. Every model is wrong, even mine, even the ones I've shown here, but some of them are useful. And they become useful because people are actually peer reviewing them and actually trying to, see if some of these insights can be used for policy making, or if in the corporate for money making. And then lastly, because I come from UP, guys, integrity in everything you do. Please don't change your data just because you want it to be pretty. Like you want to see that Metro Manila cases came from Wuhan, and you want to input like a long lat of Wuhan. Like that doesn't work, guys. There are a lot of cases out there that they want to fake data just because they want to win a client, or they want to prove that they're better than everyone. Follow all these four things. um, this is just this chart is actually just a pull from a Google image, but this summarizes everything that I really feel about everyone who's visualizing for anything about the corona crisis, about the volcanoes, about earthquakes. Just follow all these four things and you'll be fine. So now down to the more interesting part, which is something that you guys might want to make a quick buck on. Please submit a Kepler visualization link to me at Xavier@zerosexer.com. It's on your screen, and to Deirdre at Liyab.ph. So again, the price is 1,000 pesos. It's through bank transfer para social distancing. Please submit the GeoViz link and insights through maybe like a set of slides. Could just be like one slide to explain whatever you're thinking. It could be even on an annotation on Kepler GL. Whatever, as long as it explains to me and I don't have to talk to you, because that's the point of visualization. It has to be standalone. It has to be able to explain itself without the use of anyone else. But yeah, please submit no later than May 16, 12 midnight. I hate people submitting late, and I'm pretty sure all of the employers out there hate late work, right? So let's keep on that. And the criteria again is 50%. The biggest one is social impact. We want your work to be something that the Philippines can actually, or the world can actually benefit from. May it be research, may it be an app, may it be something that's out of the ordinary, or something that isn't common sense. And then the other 50% is split to 20% for visualization aesthetics. So make it pretty. And then insights, make it, insightful, or make it sciencey. The main requirement here, to the disappointment of my FTW students, it is only for undergraduates and the jobless. So it's an and, guys. So undergrad and jobless. So again, integrity, Deirdre will help me figure out if you guys already have jobs and we're giving you 1,000 pesos. Guys, this is let's help other people like make a quick buck and learn something that they could actually use and they could add in their portfolios. So yeah, form a team of 3 if you want, but make it a max of 3. Doesn't even matter if you're only one. The individual submissions are more than welcome. And please, we will check this with all your submissions. Please like the FB page or follow. Is there a follow on Facebook? And then you must join Liyab's FB career group. So those are the 4 major requirements for the 1,000 pesos. Like I mentioned in the first slide, it doesn't have to be one winner. If I like 5, I'm gonna give it out to 5. All of you will be receiving 1,000 pesos through, again, bank transfer, care of Union Bank, because Union Bank, the greatest bank in the country. And I hope you guys are banked, but it's all good. If you guys are unbanked, we can still send it through cash because Union Bank is awesome. But yeah, I leave. This is it for my presentation. I hope you guys learned a lot. Just to summarize everything, you guys just learned how to do geo visualization in probably 3 or 4 clicks and no lines of code, not one. So yeah, back to you, Deirdre.
All right. Thank you so much, Xavier, for that. Natutuwa lang ako na you promoted Union Bank more than your sister yesterday. But
Well,
yes. um, Again, if you any of you have any questions at all for the hackathon or anything that Xavier discussed, if you have any ideas already and maybe you want to get some tips from Xavier already, now is the chance to comment them on the live video and we'll be discussing them through our video. So I actually have a couple of questions already, but we have one question that was asked a while ago, which we can address already. The question is from Charlie, and he's asking, "What do you call the raw file of the data that's used for basis?" I guess for the COVID data set that you have.
yeah,
Yeah.
cool. So the one I used here is just CSV, but like I mentioned, Kepler is data agnostic, which means it will find ways. Hindi siya yung banko, guys, pero it will find ways to load your data. So it could be JSON, it could be text, but please don't do so because Google Sheets exports to CSV. But yeah, it can read CSV. So actually, one of the things I didn't mention here is what's pretty difficult before when visualizing geological data is you kind of have to take into account a lot more data, like for example, GeoJSON of the Philippines, GeoJSON or any others geospatial data for buildings, location, and longitude, latitude of roads, etc. So also no shape files pala. So here we actually just uploaded a CSV that was immediately exported from Google Sheets. Like you didn't have to do anything. But like I mentioned, please clean and validate your data with the actual experts before actually visualizing.
All right. I think that's the only question we have so far. But actually, I just wanted to share how very insightful this is, and it's making me regret that I didn't learn how to visualize location data before. Because that last year, some of you guys may know this, I worked with an e-commerce logistics company. So part of my part of my job was really dealing with a lot of location data actually, and it would have, I think, like it would have helped me do my job better if I had known this earlier, because I initially thought I needed to learn Python or even just to use Tableau to even visualize location data. Kepler, now I realize, makes that so easy by just uploading the data there, and then now I can do my own analysis on it. So I really love that this was introduced to us by Xavier today. um, I know I have a couple of data sets now. I would love to take a crack at using Kepler. So maybe in that regard, if you have maybe some ideas already or some suggestions on maybe where to start with the hackathon,
Sure,
say.
sure. Let me just reshare my screen. But okay, so but hope you guys can see my screen. Yeah, is it being shared now? But yeah, even if it's not, it's fine. But we're gonna be uploading the set of slides on Facebook, and it's all linked there. There are 5 links there to Esri. It's an open data hub. It's essentially like a global thing that there's like 250,000 open data sets by 5,000 organizations. That's more than enough for one project. There's also Natural Earth. There's USGS. There's OpenStreetMap, and obviously the bigger one, there's NASA, because they revolve around the world and they have sunsets every 45 minutes. That's a lot of data. So you want to use that, and they're open and they're public, which means they don't have PII or personally identifiable information, which already takes care of that ethics part. of the criteria. But yeah, that's really those are probably where I would start. But if you guys are interested in parsing PDFs or HTML data from government websites, feel free to do so. They're also open, and it's also socially relevant. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, I hope that it makes it easier for you guys to visualize any data set. So I hope you guys are more open to not just those 5 data sets that we shared. You could explore anything else. But yeah, I think I saw a comment here that says pleading for another 1K for the winner. If we get 10, I don't care. As long as they're all good and they're all socially impactful. And like think of it this way: like if I went to the United Nations Development Program people and I showed them your visualization and it actually makes an impact, like you deserve more than that. So we'll give you your 1,000 pesos. I don't care. So yeah, and obviously place all the watermarks you need. Place your name, place your institution, whatever. I want the project or your work to be yours. But the money will also be yours. So yeah, I hope that answers the questions.
Yeah, actually, this is super exciting because there's so much. So with the sources that you cited, there's so much data actually that you can get even just from one source. I've personally tried open street map before. You can
Yeah.
even see like the number of hardware stores in an area. And then if you want to get creative about it, also if you scrape some public websites, like for example, like if you wanna like locate all of the Jollibee branches, for example, in the Philippines, you can. I don't know what you're gonna use that for or correlate it with, but that's
For
also
work,
something
I mean,
that's yeah for work. We don't know, but that
portfolio,
there's
yeah, for
so
sure.
much that you can get from there. Uh, so actually, from top of my mind, I would love to see like so maybe Saver. This is for me, like a question for
Yeah.
myself. What source would you suggest if I wanted to, for example, create a heat map, like a literal heat map of the Philippines
Hmm.
in terms of like the temperature right now because it's so hot. So like for me, I want to know where the coolest part
Right.
of the Philippines is right now because that's where I'd move maybe to avoid this heat. Do you have a source already for that? Can you give me some clues on where to search for that data?
Um, some would be actually that with what's interesting about it is there are a lot of sort of weather stations that are gathering data about it, but not a lot of Philippine institutions making the data public. So I would probably start with USGS or NASA for temperature, but let me get back to you offline for like a proper data set for it because I already have one. I'm just not sure of the actual link because, like I mentioned, I'm not sure why people. I think because people are monetizing temperature data because a lot of for everyone's information, temperature is a very sort of good data point or data set to forecast a lot of things like inflow for dams, which in turn forecasts for supply for power, which in turn forecasts for power prices, which in turn forecasts for whatever Meralco prices are. So like those things are super expensive. That's maybe that's why it's not that public. Like you're probably not gonna see it just laying out there that has like long lat. I may be wrong, but I'm not seeing a lot of those here. But yeah, it's still true that these things are actually being sort of sold to a lot of companies because it's a really good data point, especially with a high resolution, and you can literally plot out a heat map. I actually wanted to do one, but I couldn't find one that I could share publicly that I probably wouldn't be, in trouble for, because, like I mentioned, they're probably paid. But yeah, I hope that answers the question. But I could help you out afterwards.
All right, cool. Do we have any more questions? I'm just waiting for a couple of more questions to come in. But I
Yeah.
guess while we're okay, fine, we have no other questions. But maybe, well, since Xavier, you're part of the group, so hopefully, if someone else comes up with a question, they can comment it, and hopefully, you have the time to maybe respond if they have some.
Of course.
All right, thank you. And
Thank
before
you.
we end the session, maybe you have some final words for not just the ones participating, I guess, in the hackathon, but maybe
Mhm.
for anyone who wants to get into geo visualization, or maybe the line of similar to the line of work that you have. Because um, earlier before the call, we've been talking about like how data science is becoming more and more popular in the Philippines, and so
Yeah.
there's a lot of interest into the discipline itself. And maybe you have some words for some aspiring data scientists who are in the group right now.
Yeah. So I actually already mentioned most of them. I just repeat it, but like for a different context, maybe for those who really want to enter sort of the data profession. I don't know if it's an industry yet, but the it's the it's really cleaning the data that's what matters at the end of the day. You could build a chatbot or like a computer vision model, whatever. But if you don't know how to clean data, if you don't have the perseverance and the patience to clean data, like just don't work for data. I mean, it's not for you. So just to share for everyone, I don't know if I have batchmates here from applied physics, but my first ever stint with data collection was to actually measure the length and width of rice, a grain of rice. And we were supposed to do that manually with calipers and raise to 500 grains of rice. And then we used those as features to like predict which type is this. This is long grain, which is fairly easy. Is this jasmine? Is this chippy lang ganon? Or is it like some other expensive rice, but or dinarado pala. But yeah, that was actually what that taught me wasn't Excel, Google Sheets, coding. What it taught me was patience, because that was 4 hours straight, and I can't make a mistake because it's pretty obvious, because the standard deviation of a lot of these premium rice is very low. So it shows up when you perform your modeling or your analysis. So I think that carried through because we literally had like a class on error propagation, and that carried through to my work today. Like 90, if 99, if not 99% of my work is data cleaning or like understanding like the domain. So yeah, a lot of the people that contact me through LinkedIn or whatever, or see me in the street, actually ask me how to get into the data science field or the data field. It's really to have the perseverance and the patience to clean the data and to understand the data and to validate the data and to actually be able to get insights through studying and not just maybe this is what actual research. So yeah, it's not really about the coding because a lot of these are actually already automated. You can perform a lot of this in one line of code. So I guess that's it. That's my 2 cents on how to get into the field.
I love how you really focused on it. It takes a lot of patience and perseverance because, like for example, I've met a couple of people who are interested in data science, and when I ask also for advice on how to get into it, I usually get, okay, you can start with, learning this certain language, learning some sort of tool. But I love how
Right.
you put it in the perspective of it really takes a lot of patience and perseverance, because I think if you have those, any tool or language that you need to learn for this will be a lot easier to learn if you have those two traits of just patience and perseverance. So thank you so much for that, Xavier.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So since we have no other questions, and I would love to give everyone a chance already to look at the slides and get started with their hackathon project. Um, I would like to say again, thank you, Xavier, for teaching us this
Thank
afternoon,
you. No, thank you for the opportunity.
and thank you for the surprise appearance, Coco. Hi, Coco.
Yeah, my dog also can perform GeoViz. It's just a few clicks.
All right. Good job. All right. And then we will see everyone tomorrow for the last day of the Liyab Learning Challenge, where we learn how to write a business case. I think this is also a very valuable skill, especially, for example, to tie it up with what we learned today. Let's say you got insights from your data visualization, and you want to present it to you want to present it to your boss or your company, for example. And sure, you've applied like the right like chart for it and the right presentation for it, but if you don't know how to make a business case for your insights, especially if you're proposing any actions based from it, then it's really hard to convince someone just based on like give them a really good visualization, right? Part of it really comes from making a really good case for why the recommendations from your insights have to be done. So we learn how to write a business case tomorrow to wrap up everything we've learned in the past 9 days so far for the Liyab Learning Challenge. So I hope you guys log in one last time at 5 p.m. tomorrow, and we're gonna be live with Aaron Garcia to learn more about that. All right. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in,
Thank you.
and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.